And now, the wood and metal erasing tools. And now, hopefully, well, the second to the last semi-large size project to the rebuild. This is the largest one that's going to happen right now. After the shop is done, and I've been using it for a while, I'm going to replumb and redo the dust collection. But right now, this is the sanding and polishing kind of bench. So you can see I got my rigid oscillating sander here. The Tormek is over there. Moved everything off of here, moved it away from the wall. I've added these two stanchions that are going to hold the back up for the cleats. There'll be a third one, get on that pretty soon, that goes here. These are held on with 5/16 bolts and fender washers, and I've got these 1/2 inch, I guess you call them cleats, to space it away from here the right amount of distance. Now the fiber reinforced resin base for this bench, or the stuff's is 1/4 of an inch thick, so it's pretty robust. So let's get busy and make this middle one, put up the plywood, and of course paint it. Well, there's the basics up. So this will all get cleats, but I'm going to paint it first. This piece of plywood I had is a little shorter than the bench top, but it doesn't matter, because that's okay. I got cut-offs, I got more than enough space to put the cleats up that I need to make this work. So there it is. I got to make a few changes. I think I want to diagonally brace the legs a little bit, because it's got a little bit of wobble to it. I can deal with that. Other than that, paint is the next step. Painted, cleats are up. I have to cut some more to hang stuff. Just as an example, I brought out my belt sander here so you can see what it looks like in place. I left the bench short so you can get up close to the work. My sister-in-law saw something on my Amazon shopping list, and it was this 12-plug outlet here, box here, that I mounted on this side of the bench so I can power these tools over here and then power all the tools here. And then there's a 20-amp circuit behind here which I'll plug it into. The Tormek next to the lathe, because for the most part we're sharpening lathe tools with the Tormek. But you use the Tormek two ways. You use it facing this direction here to do your lathe tools, and to do chisels. You can do them this way, but it's easier the other way around. To do chisels and plane irons, you flip it around this way, and you have a jig that runs across here. So to facilitate that, I bought a Lazy Susan, a 2-ring Lazy Susan. Yeah, it's a little pricey, but it's nice. This will get fastened to a base that's going to sit here. Then another base will be fastened to the inner ring, so that will rotate. And then the Tormek will be bolted or clamped down, cleated down to the top piece of wood. So you can rotate the Tormek around as you need to. And there'll be a pin to lock it in place when you've got it where you want it. So it'll be 180 degrees around, with a pin to lock it in place. So there we are. I'm going to start making cleats and hanging stuff. I'll show a little bit of that, and we'll move on from there. Cleats, more cleats. I'm not hanging anything yet. I'm going to start hanging stuff soon. But the Tormek is in place, and the tools we use the most are on the bench. Well, let's start with the Tormek. It's on the Lazy Susan, so you can rotate it around to use it either way, for either doing lathe tools or for doing chisels and plane irons. And it's got a pin in place to keep it in the position you want it in. Let's take a look. We replaced the stone with a CBN wheel, so we don't have to use water anymore. I'm going to put a magnet down here that's going to pull fibers, metal fibers off of the wheel. But anyhow, the way this works is, you pull that pin out, rotates around, put the pin back in, and now you can do your lathe tools here, which typically go across the wheel like this. on this jig on this rod with jigs that go onto the rod. Now, when you do it the other way, like so, now you have a jig for your plane irons and your chisels, which go across the wheel this way, like that. So that's the Tormek in place right next to the lathe where it gets used the most. Next in line, the rigid oscillating sander. I'm going to probably hang some things for that up here, like, you know, this part that's sitting in the back. It has a space for a lot of its parts down here. Might just leave those the way they are. We use this all the time. This is the most sanding tool, stationary sanding tool we use. Next is a little 1x30 belt sander. Again, this is like the second most used stationary sander besides this. It has a wheel over here. We don't really use that often, but we definitely use this a lot. The next is the 4-inch belt sander. This belt sander can go vertical or laying down that way, vertical or flat. We don't use the wheel that's on here. We've never used it, so I took the table off and got rid of it. I have dust collection ports on all of these three pieces here. We have a 8-inch bench grinder that will go underneath the table because we rarely use that, and we can lift it up when we need to. But other than that, these are the tools that we use 99.9% of the time for sanding and shaping parts. Okay, this one's done. Well, as someone said, it's never really done, but this one's done. The Tormek has all its tools, its manuals up here. The oscillating spindle sander has belts up here. I put a drawer on the bench. It has all the drums and things that need to be used for this here. This little shelf that's empty right now is when you remove the belt fixture, it can sit up there. When you're going to use it just as a drum sander, you take the belt fixture off and set it up there out of your way. And recurring theme, fine, medium, and coarse. That's why there's only 3 pegs on this. For the 1x30, fine, medium, and coarse. And I have a disc sander on this side we use occasionally. We can actually rotate it if we need to. And then the 4-inch, same thing, fine, medium, and coarse. And that's ready to go. The only one that's really fixed down, semi-fixed down, is the Tormek. Now, the big power strip I got for Christmas is right here, and it has 5 exposed outlets. So I'm going to go and get some of those outlet plugs that plug those things up to keep dirt and dust and metal shavings from getting into those outlets, which could be problematic at best. I'm sure you get that. That'll be done. Now the dust collection is going to require a trip to Rockler. We don't need it right now, but it's going to come down 4-inch along here, and then 2.5 inch to 1, 2, 3 units. And again, I'm going to put the magnet here to catch metal filings off of this. So this is the second to the last big project for the shop. The last one is this one, dust collection. It comes later. So for all intents and purposes, this shop overhaul is done. The next thing to do is clean the shop up, get it all organized, get the tools put away and things and stuff like that, and then do a complete start to finish shop tour with before and afters of what I did. So until then, which may be a ways down the road, make great things out of wood, organize your shop if you can. Later.